Howdy doody tooty, my name's Tongue-Tied Pete, gonna play you some Aretha Nietzsche.
Hang it in, baby blue.
April the 28th, 1816, there was an explosion that raged with thundering noise. The sound reached a distance of 200 yards, with one big flame what was raging. The workmen made their escape through Blucher pit, with exception of 13 men and 11 boys who died and were found dreadfully burnt and scorched. Edmund John Charlton, he was a joiner. Him and other lads was working either on the pit cage or the pit shaft. In order to carry out the job, they had to remove the cage. The cage was placed back but wasn't secure. Charlton moved, he got knocked into the shaft and fell over 400 feet. John Larson was only 15 years old. He lived at number 3 Blucher Cottage. There was 5 cottages behind the garage at the top of Blucher. John was killed down the pit in 1950. Anthony Rigg from 12 Boyle Terrace died of a heart attack whilst working down the pit. James Sewell died in 1938. His job at Blucher was a train driver. Every day he would be running up and down the Blucher line with tons of coal. He was living at 6 Albert Terrace, Newbury. John Robson from Percy Cottage, Walbottle, was married to Mary. They had 8 children. John was a deputy at Blucher. In 1911, he was struck by falling stones. He was 39 years old. William Orcs was working down Blucher on the 22nd of March 1911. He was hit and killed by a falling stone. Frederick Wilson, he was a widow. He lived at 25 Stanley Street. He was killed in 1919. John James was married to Mary from Westerhope. He was killed in 1917. George Bell was from Froppy. He died in 1915. He was about 33 years old. William and Margaret Nixon from Heading on the Wharf had to bury their son Matthew Nixon, who died down Blucher pit in 1908. James Killen, who lived with John Trotter and his wife Mary at 4 Spencer Terrace. He was killed in 1919. He got a job driving in the mine after service during the First World War. Robert Young, on the morning of the 2nd of March 1906. After working down the pit all night, he was on his way home to see his loved ones. The train was passing him with 15 tons of coal. Robert attempted to get a ride, but he slipped. He was found lying between the fence and the rail line. Both his legs were cut off below the knee. He had been dragged 13 yards. He was taken to Newcastle Infirmary, where Robert Young died the next day. Thomas Wright had been working when the roof caved in. His family was from 74 Tamworth Road, Newcastle. Margaret Murphy, who wasn't employed at the pit. She was taken at dinner to her husband, who was working as a mason. She was crossing the line, and Margaret was caught by a tub. She was killed the 2nd of November 1904. George Nicol, aged 51. He was doing his regular work. He was leading out too far on the wagon and was hit by the telephone post. Benjamin Platt was from 11 Burn Close. He got killed after a stone fell on him. Joseph, who was the son of Benjamin, was killed in 1930. They're both buried at St John's Churchyard. William Dawson, he was walking along a pipe. He slipped. He gripped a steam valve. Before he could recover himself, he was burnt by the steam. He died 10 weeks later in 1897. Thomas Joblin was lodging at 13 Northview, which was next to the entrance of Walbottle Colliery. He was living with the Ebel White family. His girlfriend was Jane Ebel White. On Tuesday, the 9th of September 1902, it was reported in the Shields Daily that on the 7th of September 1902, Thomas was arguing with Jane. He grabbed her and strangled her to death. Thomas then walked around to the corner to the colliery. He opened the gate to the pit shaft, then jumped. Jane's father, John, found her on the floor later that day. John Williams. He was 68 years old. John suffered a heart attack. He fell on his face with some force. William Henry Rutherford. He was just 15 years old. William was employed as a driver. He was crushed to death by a runaway tube. John George Wakeman. On September 1914, 6 lads out of 10 had got out of the bottom deck of a double-decker cage, where it was standing at the bottom of the shaft. As John was getting out, the cage moved. He got crushed. William Henry of 12 Denton Grove, Westerhope. A tub fell on him and he was crushed to death. Frederick Irvin from 19 Greenfields Avenue, Westerhope. He was killed when a stone fell on top of him the 3rd of June 1934, aged 38. Lancelot Nicholson Dunn from High Square, Walbottle. He was 16 years old. He was killed by a runaway tub. He managed to get the pony off the rails, but was hit by the tub before he got to a safe place. James Hebble, the roof of the pit caved in on him. James O'Neill was killed when a large stone fell on him. Robert Pringle got killed in 1927. Thomas Bryant's never come out alive. James Chedwick got out, but he died 9 days later. William Chapman, 1909. William Clark, 1911. John Dickinson was killed in a drum when it fell 20 feet. Edwin Dawson Dixon. Joseph Douglas. A large stone fell on him, injured his spine. He died from his injuries the 26th of March 1913. Thomas Conroy was killed in 1908. Thomas Colston was killed in 1929. Walter Dodds from 28 Beermount Terrace, Westerhope. was killed in 1911. Arthur Foster killed 1921. Moses Fraser killed 1908. James Edward Freeman 1904. Richard H. Freeman 1922.